Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out The Last Church, originally by Tiber Portuguese 6674. This is a re-upload on YouTube because I think the original one got taken down, or I'm pretty sure he joined Games Workshop or something from what I read. So you can only find it re-uploaded, so hopefully I don't get, fucking axed from this. Hopefully not. We'll see. But a lot of you guys have been recommending this to me, so I figure I might as well check it out. I've heard nothing but good things, and I'm pretty sure it's about a book, and this is like a kind of not an animation, but kind of like a narrative illustration of the book. Whereas Hell's Reach was obviously more of like an animation, to my understanding. So I figure. Nothing but good things about it, so I've been excited to check it out for a while here, and I guess I'm excited to finally see what it's all about. Basically, since day one, I made that Astartes video. You guys have been, commenting The Last Church, so it's been a long time coming. So, yeah, guys, without any further delay, leave a like, leave your recommendations in the comments down below, and subscribe for more content from me. And without any further delay, let's get right into this. I'm excited to see 720p. Full screen. Okay, maybe it is an animation. Oh wow. I do like the art style a lot. Okay, so it is kind of still like a just from what I'm seeing here, it's still kind of animated. It's like a halfway point, it seems. It's like it's still illustrated, but it's illustrated through I don't even know what you would call that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not an animator. But it's still frame, but it's gives the effect of animation, I guess. Let's say. I don't know what that's called. If somebody wants to let me know because I'm not an animator. Oh shit.
It is a cold night. I'm an old man. Please.
Let me get those subtitles on.
Welcome to the Church of the Fulgur Lapis.
If it's really bad, I'll turn them
Wish
off.
to join us tonight? I don't recognize you.
No, I don't expect you would. Nor would I expect us to be anyone besides you and I.
Well, this is a surprise. My midnight sermons are considered quite popular in these parts. You're sure?
Quite.
What a shame. I had not thought I had aged so poorly as to scare so many away.
It is rare to find a man like you with a sense of humor. I have found that most of your kind are dour, leaden-hearted men.
Kind.
My kind.
Uh-oh.
Priests.
Then I fear you have only met the wrong kind. Besides, given the times we live in, any servants of the divine would find it extremely difficult to be of good cheer.
Yeah, so that was a bit sus, was it not? Like, your kind, and he just kind of like slipped it away. Maybe he just meant priests, but I feel like that definitely had a double implication. I guess we'll see.
Any servants of the divine would find it extremely difficult to be of good cheer.
Very true.
He's fucking tall, Jesus.
I am Uriah Olothair, last priest of the Church of the Fulgur Labis. Might I have your name?
My name is unimportant. However, you may call me Apocalypsis.
An unusual name for one who professes a dislike of priests. You are aware of the significance of such a word?
Jesus.
It is suiting for tonight, however.
And why exactly would that be? What revelations do you search for in my humble church?
So I wonder who this is, all right? So, because he's definitely not he's not on. You know what I'm saying? That guy's definitely sus at the very least. I'm thinking, man, I don't even know. Because I know like some different aliens can like kind of like look like humans, right? Like obviously the gene stealers and shit, from what I've heard. But I don't know. This is hard to say. I'm not too well read on this, so I really don't know.
Would
We'll have
that
to
be?
see.
What revelations do you search for in my humble church?
I seek no revelation. I simply wish to talk to you. I wish to learn what keeps you here when the world is abandoning your beliefs in gods and divinity. I wish to understand why you have yet to turn to the faith of science and reason.
The great fresco of Isandula. A divine work. Wouldn't you agree?
It is quite magnificent, but divine? I don't think so.
Then you have not looked closely enough. Open your heart to its beauty, and you will feel the Spirit of God move within you.
And the whole world came running when the fresco was revealed, and the sight of it was enough to reduce all who saw it to stunned silence.
So you have read your Vastari.
So I have.
You are a student of art?
I have studied much. Art is indeed one of my interests.
You cannot argue that this work was
Even the way that guy talks, man, like he's not like he's speaking too like clear, you know what I'm saying? Like the priest, he's like, he doesn't sound like a robot, you know what I'm saying? Like
inspired by a higher power.
Of course I can. I do not seek to diminish the artist's sublime work through allocating praise upon a greater being. Her artistry does not prove the existence of anything. No god has ever created art.
In an earlier age, some might have considered such a sentiment blasphemy.
I have only ever seen mortal men accuse anyone of blasphemy, Uriah. I have only ever seen mortal men act upon it. Were reactions to the accusations any less violent, I would label it a victimless crime.
Jesus.
Touché. But I have yet to see any scientist discover the root of inspiration.
The human mind is a wondrous thing.
Wow.
Do not be so quick to underestimate it. Tell me.
These guys are just having like a philosophy debate here. It seems like he's really the stranger. He's trying to Apocalypse, I guess his name is. He's trying to like really feel this priest out, like apparently on this world it seems like a lot of people have turned away from let's say coming to the church, which seems strange. I'm not sure what time period this takes place in, to be honest with you. 40K, yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure what world the emperor would not be worshipped in, or at least people wouldn't be going to their church even if it wasn't the emperor. Assuming this was under the Imperium of Man, the only thing I can assume is that this is a world that is being taken over by like a gene stealer, or is being influenced by some external force here. And whatever this guy is, Apocalypse, he's trying to figure this priest out, why he's still so rooted in his belief. Yeah, this is really interesting. I really like the dialogue here. Sorry to pause.
Uriah, Have you ever seen the great cliff sculptures of the Mariana Canyon?
No, though I have heard they are incredibly beautiful.
They are indeed 1,000-meter-high representations of their kings carved in stone that no weapon or drill can cut. They are at least as incredible as this fresco, worked into a cliff that had not seen sunlight in 10,000 years, yet carved by a godless people in a forgotten age. True art requires no divine rationale. It is just art.
You have your opinion, I have mine.
Isandula was a genius and a magnificent artist. That much is beyond question. But she still had to make a living, and even magnificent artists must take commissions where they are to be found. I am sure this work paid well, for the churches of her time were obscenely wealthy. Do you believe that she would be incapable of such a wondrous feat if she had been employed by a secular government?
She very well may have, but unfortunately we shall never know.
No,
It's true.
We are fickle creatures, Uriah. All too often I am tempted to believe that the invocation of the divine is a ploy by the jealous to dismiss one's accomplishments.
Jealousy?
So sorry, I'm not trying to like pause because I like the dialogue. I'm really trying to like hear the dialogue out. I'm not trying to pause a lot. I just find it really, really interesting. Like, yeah, he's really going in deep on this priest, man. You know, he's trying to like really figure him out. He's even trying to rile him up a little bit, but it's not working. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's trying to get the priest heated, and the priest is, you know, you have your opinions, I have mine. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. He's not shying away, you know, which I think is interesting. I'm not trying to pause here. I'm going to try to pause like as little as possible, for a bit, just so I can like hear the dialogue out and whatnot,
By
you
the
know?
jealous to dismiss one's accomplishments.
Jealousy?
Absolutely. To see another succeed where you may have failed is a sobering thing. Some would rather choose to remain ignorant of their limitations.
That is a very cynical view of humanity.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but I have seen too much darkness to be so innocent as to always assume good intentions. Do not mistake my intentions, however. Only in understanding our weakness may we find strength.
Well, this has been an interesting discussion, but you must excuse me, friend Apocalypsis. I have to prepare for my congregation.
No one is coming. It is just you and I.
Why are you really here?
This is the last church on Terra. History will soon be done with places
Terra.
like this.
Oh.
And I want a memory.
The last church on Terra. Oh shit. Okay. Sorry, not to pause. That makes sense. Okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, yeah, that adds a little bit more context to this. Goddamn. Okay.
On Terra. History will soon be done with places like this, and I want a memory of it before it is gone.
If this is so...
Is this
then
the
come,
Emperor?
friend.
Wait a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is this the Emperor? Is that sorry, again to pause, but whoa, is that who this is? Is he coming to like actually like learn about it? Why? Is this him in that process? I wonder. Damn, okay. I like because he's speaking so perfectly. So it's either he's something else or this is him. This is the guy, you know what I'm saying? Which could be, I don't know. This is interesting. I'm sorry.
Before it is gone.
If this is so, then come, friend, let us sit. I would rather not stand for whatever time remains.
I just see I'm sure it's not the Emperor. It can't be. But like it's just an interesting concept because he's huge. He's fucking I don't know. That'd just be a cool concept. Fuck.
Your good health.
And yours. This is very good wine. It's old.
You have a fine appreciation of wine, friend Apocalypsis. My father gave this to me on my 15th birthday and said I should drink it on my wedding night.
And you never married.
Never found anyone willing to put up with me. I was
Ah.
a devilish rogue back then.
No longer, it would seem. A devilish rogue turned priest. Sounds like quite the tale.
It is, but some wounds run deep, and it does no good to reopen them.
Fair enough.
Friend Apocalypsis, tell me, what did you mean when you said this place was soon to be gone?
Exactly what I said. Even in your isolated state, you must have heard of the Emperor and his crusade to stamp out
Okay,
religion
so
and
it's
belief
no-
in the supernatural.
It's not the Emperor. Unless it is. But yeah, okay. So this is during that time period. Okay.
Soon, he and his forces will arrive to tear this place down.
I know, but it makes no difference to me. I believe what I believe, and no amount of hectoring from some warmongering despot will sway me.
That is an obstinate point of view.
It is faith. It would seem I'm not as fickle as you would posit, eh?
Faith. A willing belief in the unbelievable without proof.
Faith's strength is just that. It requires no proof. Belief is enough.
That is why the Emperor wants rid of it, then. You call faith powerful. I call it dangerous. Think of what people in the grip of faith have done in the past. All the atrocities down the centuries that can be traced back to faith. Faith is both the causation and the justification for so much evil.
Have you come here just to provoke me?
Yeah.
I'm no longer a violent man. Such a goal would be boring and fruitless for the both of us. If this is all you are here for, I suggest you leave.
You are right, of course. I'm being discourteous, and I apologize. I came to learn of this place, not antagonize its guardian.
I accept your apology, Apocalypsis. Do you wish to see the church?
I do.
Then come with me.
Okay, well at least he's being like he's not trying to like overstep. I think that's interesting because he is kind of like poking him a bit, but he's not like even the instant he was called out on it, he's like, yeah, you're right. I'm not here to, talk shit. I'm just here to learn. So I think that's interesting. I'm really liking the dialogue. The dialogue in this is fucking great. The back and forth that they're doing, and also the concepts they're talking about. Like they're getting pretty deep into philosophy as a whole, and even in a realistic sense, which I think is interesting. And yeah, no, we're only 10 minutes in, and this is already looking really good. Like I find this very, very interesting already.
The Fulgur Lapis.
So this is a holy stone?
It is, yes.
Why?
Why is it the Fulgur Lapis?
I mean, why is it holy? Was it deposited on the ground by your god? Was a man martyred here? Or did some young girl receive some sort of revelation while praying at its base?
Nothing so bland, rest assured, Francis. Thousands of years ago, a local holy man who was blind was walking in the hills hereabouts when a sudden storm came in over the Western Ocean. He hurried back down to the village below, but it was a long way, and the storm broke before he could reach safety. The holy man took shelter from the storm in the lee of this stone, at the height of the storm in the lee of the heavens.
Damn.
When he thought all was lost, he was lifted up and heard the voice of our Creator. And so he saw the stone wreathed in a blue fire, in which he saw the face of our Creator.
Did you not say he was blind?
Ah, he was blind no longer. The power of our Creator cured him of his affliction. He immediately ran back to the village and told the people there of the miracle.
And then?
The holy man returned to the Fulgur Lapis and instructed the townspeople to build a church around it. The story of his healing soon spread. Within but a few years, thousands were crossing the Silver Bridge to visit the shrine. For a spring had begun to flow from the base of the stone, and its waters were said to be imbued with healing properties.
And I wonder how much the priests benefited from it all. And what? It could cure diseases, mend broken limbs?
So the church records say.
Damn.
This bathing chamber was constructed around the stone, and people across the land came to bathe in the sacred waters while they still flowed.
I have heard tales of a similar nature in the Far East. A young girl claimed to have seen a holy vision of a woman while bathing near the springs closest to her home. She described a woman conspicuously similar to the holy woman of a religious order of which her family was a member. Bathing houses were established there too, but for fear of diminishing the rate at which the owners of the bathhouses could admit pilgrims, the waters were only changed once a day. The dying and diseased came in droves, passing through that water in the hundreds every day, so I'm sure you can imagine what a horrible slop it was at the end.
Oh,
They were but pools of blood, sloughed off skin, scabs, bits of cloth and bandage, an abominable soup of malady.
Jesus.
The only miracle was that anyone emerged alive. Such a miracle was infrequent at best.
I cannot justify the actions of the greedy or the impure. I can assure you that did not happen here, if that is your concern.
Hematite from a banded ironstone formation, exposed by landslip during the storm, most likely. That would explain the strike. It seems to me that your holy man was not blinded by any physical defect, but was a result of hysteria or earlier mental trauma. It is not unheard of to be cured in such a manner.
Are you attempting to debunk the miracle this church was founded upon? It was our Creator's will. And if your explanation were to substitute mine, then...
So is he, sorry, not to pause again. He's feeling like the stone and he like can tell what it is. It's interesting. This he's got to be some dude, you know what I mean? He's not, you know. I maybe he is the emperor, but I'm fucking tossing that back and forth in my head. I don't know which one to believe anymore. I don't know who this dude is. If he's just maybe like a scholar or something himself. You know, I don't know, but this, you know, I'm really liking the dialogue back and forth here. This is crazy.
It was our Creator's will. And if your explanation were to substitute mine, the nature of the event is still what I would call a miracle. The Creator's face was seen. His voice was heard. It is a malicious thing to seek to destroy another's faith, Apocalypsis.
I do not aim to be malicious. I am trying to explain how such a thing could have happened without the intervention of a godly power. You think that the way we perceive the world is the way it actually is, but you cannot perceive the external world directly. Indeed, none of us can. Instead, we know only our ideas or interpretations of objects in the world. The human brain is a marvelous organ, priest, and it is especially adept at constructing images of faces and voices from limited information. Imagine your holy man sheltering from the storm in the cover of this great stone when the lightning bolt hit, the fire and the noise, the pounding surge of elemental energy. Isn't it possible that an already religious man might, in such circumstances, perceive sights and sounds of a divine nature? We do it all the time. When you wake with dread in the dead of night, is that darkness in the corner not an intruder instead of just a shadow? The creak of a floorboard, the tread of a murderer?
I agree. The human mind is a powerful thing. What I value most, however, is the ability to reflect upon the past and reach conclusion that that tap against my window was a natural occurrence, and not a murderer come to kill a lonely priest.
Given the origins and evolution of religions in the human species, it seems a far more convincing and likely explanation that it was a figment of happenstance and a creative mind. A holy man might make a miracle of simple good fortune, because...
So, sorry, not to cut him off. Tell me what you guys think about that. That's an interesting concept, because it's like definitely the whole, like, what would you even call it? Like the materialistic world versus like the spiritual one, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? That it's directly, these two guys are directly like talking against each other. Not against, but they're just arguing their own point of view, right? Whereas the priest sees a miracle passed about through the ages. This guy looks at it and he says, okay, well, this is possible that it's just a completely natural occurrence also. It's interesting to hear, you know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know what I believe personally, you know what I'm saying? You know, not many people I think do fucking for sure know what they believe anymore. Um, but this is an interesting like philosophy debate that they're doing here, and it's you know, it's definitely it applies realistically to like to us too, which is interesting. Um, you know, it's not just like a story about something random. Like this kind of directly is like related to real life in a sense. You know, the points that they're making.
And a creative mind. A holy man might make a miracle of simple good fortune because of a predisposition to believe in the supernatural. Don't you agree?
No, I do not.
Really? You strike me as an intelligent man. Why can you not concede at least to the possibility of such an explanation?
Because I too have seen my God and heard his voice. Nothing can compare with knowing personally and completely that the divine exist.
Ah, personal experience. The most valued kind. Tell me, where did you receive this vision?
On a battlefield in the lands of the Frank, many, many years ago.
The Frank were brought into unity long ago. The last battle was fought nearly half a century ago. You must have been a young
Jesus.
man back then.
I was. Young and foolish. Young and foolish.
Hardly a prime candidate for divine intervention. But then I've found that the least likely to receive it are often the most in need of it. I have read your holy book before. To me, most of the men who appear on the pages are far from ideal role models. Perhaps I should not be so surprised. The devilish rogue sits with me today.
That's true. Yeah, when you look at people even in like you know, IRL like holy texts, you know, they're not people that you would think are, you know, necessarily worthy. Obviously, like Jesus, he was a good guy, right? And he preached a lot of good things, right? But he himself, he wasn't born of greatness or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he was, but he wasn't. You know, but he was lowly all his life, right? But like, you know, why would God not pick like a prince from a kingdom or something like that? You know, like a newborn son. You know, why would he pick this lowly sheep herder? You know, and so like it's just an interesting concept. Yeah, it's usually the people that like you would not expect to be chosen are chosen, kind of thing. You know, in a sense.
Your tone may be pleasant, but your spirit is nothing but adversarial. You say you wish to learn of me, and this church will come. Let us joust with words, thrusting and parrying one's certainties with argument and counter-argument. Say what you will, but come sunrise, you will leave and not return.
This is my intention.
Bam.
I have other matters to attend to, but tonight I have to talk with you. My adversarial spirit is not born from any mal-will towards you, Uriah. My malcontent is born from my love for humanity. I would see our species in an age of wonder, without these constant wars.
I
and
would.
the ignorance that blankets our kind like a plague.
Totally
I
is
would
the
see
Emperor.
us
It's gotta be,
ascend.
man.
I
I'm
would
just
see
sticking with
all
that.
of our kind raised to the status of godhood that is
Yeah.
worshipped throughout the galaxy. But we are enslaved to the fantastical notions that reside within that book of yours, and all the others like it. That damnable book in your hands is a curse, and I would see you rid of it.
You go so
Damn.
far as to mock my holy book too? This damnable book provides a code by which I have lived a peaceful life, in which I have built more than I have destroyed, helped more than hurt. My time before this book was nothing but destroying and hurting.
Yeah.
Untold thousands more live similar lives thanks to the guidance provided by our willingness to believe in something greater than ourselves.
And you can see the time there, eh? So it's just almost 12 o'clock. So he said come morning, so like 6. He's giving them to you.
Selves. Tell me, Apocalypsis, when we, as a species, find your vision to be a reality, what will become of us? What will unite us? Peace can only be attained through an aspiration or a common enemy. And when that aspiration disappears and we as a species are gods without rivals, who will we turn on? We will turn on each other, friend Apocalypsis. Your vision will bring only an eternity of war. When gods clash, galaxies burn.
So what would you have me say? There are more faces.
See, that's some mad foreshadowing if that is the Emperor. Because obviously that's exactly what happened. They turned on each other, right? Obviously not without outside influence, but obviously Horus, turned against him, and everything after that happened, and it's just been perpetual war since then with, if not themselves, then everybody else, race-wise out there. So it's like, damn, a mad foreshadowing there.
Will bring only an eternity of war. When gods clash, galaxies burn.
So what would you have me say? There are more faiths than yours, Uriah, and each faith has equally zealous defenders. How many generations of conflict until your message of peace turns to a crusade against those who do not share your beliefs? Where there are differences, humanity will find them, and these differences are so fundamentally rooted in you as others' beliefs are in others. There can be no resolution without conflict.
You find nothing but exceptions to my arguments, never any rules by which to measure them.
How can I find rules in an inherently hypocritical system? Your book has been rewritten, translated, and twisted to fit the needs of hundreds of anonymous authors for hundreds.
That's so ironic, given what happens, eventually. That's so ironic, given what happens. Oh, man. Damn, that's
translated and twisted to fit the needs of hundreds of anonymous authors for hundreds of years. The faith is eternal, but the story and morals are not. One man hears his dead grandfather, and he is locked away in an asylum. But if he heard the voice of God, he would be venerated and might well become a saint. How is this a logical and rational system?
It is my faith. Respect my beliefs as I respect yours, despite your constant slights against my life's dedication.
Did you not say we should joust? Why does your faith require such protection? Is it not robust enough to withstand my questioning? No one else on this world enjoys such protection from scrutiny. So why should you and your faith be singled out for special treatment?
Why is it that faith is being targeted for destruction? Perhaps there is enough truth behind my words that the Emperor, in all his wisdom, fears their holy power. Or is it because there are people too obstinate to accept that there may be something that science cannot quite explain? I have seen my God. I saw his face and heard his words in my soul.
Do not expect me or anyone else to give your experience credence, Uriah, despite what you think you saw. You may believe it to be real, but just because you believe something to be true does not make it so.
I saw what I saw. I heard what I heard. That day on the fields of Frank has never lost its clarity. I relive it with every waking moment in which I am not occupied.
And where in Frank did this miraculous vision take place, priest?
On the killing field of Gadwere.
You were at Gadwere.
I was.
Will you tell me what happened?
I'll tell you what happened.
I'm guessing, obviously somebody correct me, because they're not using, Frank isn't, a place that I know. But obviously Frankish is, French, right, in a sense. So I'm guessing probably, around, North France kind of area, but I could be wrong.
I was.
Will you tell me what happened?
I'll tell you what happened. But first, I need another drink.
This motherfucker was on the Maginot. You know what I'm saying? Goddamn.
No, friend Apocalypsis, this is the good stuff. I wouldn't deign to drink this from a tumbler. Now we will drink from a glass.
Oh, okay. So he's actually it's interesting that the priest is still being so kind. Like that's the thing. He's trying to show him that like even though you're like totally fucking disrespecting me and my belief, like, you know, I'm still going to give you the time of day because that's what I believe in. Like you're still, you know, a person to me. I'm still going to treat you with respect. I can really understand the priest here, you know what I'm saying? And he is trying to give him like he is trying to give him insight on why he believes the way he is, right? He's being patient with somebody who's a non-believer versus like, you know, how a lot of people are. It's like, right, if you don't believe, then you're already doomed to hell. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's no way to get people on your side, especially as a religion. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, given what happens in 40K, that's again very ironic. But I can appreciate the priest here in this video. And again, the dialogue is crazy. I love
No,
it.
friend Apocalypsis, this is the good stuff. I wouldn't deign to drink this from a tumbler. Now we will drink from a glass. The water of life.
Finally, spirits both you and I can believe in.
Give it a minute and let the vapors build. It intensifies the flavor. Swirl it a little. See the slicks on the side of the glass? They are called tears. And since they are long and descending slowly, we know the drink is strong and full-bodied.
And how long must we wait?
Patience, friend Apocalypsis. This wine has sat for many decades. It can sit for a few more minutes. Nose the drink. Feel the aromas and how they stimulate your senses. Allow yourself a moment. Let the scents awaken the memories of their origin.
May I ask a personal question while we wait?
Well, it depends on the question, doesn't it?
Why is it you carry a timepiece that doesn't function?
Oh,
It is
it doesn't work. Okay, I didn't catch that, and obviously the still frame, you know. But if it doesn't function, yeah, that's interesting. So it's personal memorabilia.
That doesn't function.
It is a family relic, you see.
Yeah.
It has been with us since before even Old Night. No one knows when it broke, but as legend goes, it ticks before disaster strikes. I never believed it. Nor did my father. When I found it, however, it was a minute later than I always remembered it. Now it sits a minute from midnight. My father always jested that the day it struck midnight would be the beginning of the end. I've kept it for decades. Never once seen it budge. I check it often, as if it could warn me of danger. Maybe there is hope, eh?
A grim portent. You seem to surround yourself with grim beliefs, Uriah.
Perhaps. But let's not ruin this good wine with such dour thoughts. My story has not yet even begun. We've waited long enough. Drink, friend Apocalypsis, generously. Hang on to the taste before it is gone.
Ah, that's a flavor I have not had in a long time. I didn't think any remained.
It is an old bottle. One I rescued from the ruins of my parents' home.
You make a habit.
It's kind of interesting because this guy, like, he obviously looks young, right? Like, Apocalypsis looks young. And the priest isn't, I haven't had this in a long time, right? And it's the priest isn't really catching that, you know what I'm saying? He's really like, whatever, but, you know.
Bottle.
It's interesting.
One I rescued from the ruins of my parents' home.
You make a habit of keeping old alcohol around.
Aye, a throwback to my wild youth. I was fond of the drink. A little too much even, if you take my meaning.
I do. Many a great man has been brought low by such an addiction.
You said you wanted to know of Gaduere?
If you are ready and willing to tell me of it, yes.
Willing, yes. Ready? Well, I suppose we will find out, eh?
Gaduere was a bloody day. It was hard on all who were there. I understand.
I may be old, and my eyes may not be what they once were, but I can still tell that you are far too young to know of Gaduere. You would
Yeah.
not have even been born when that
Okay, now
happened,
he's
of course.
catching on a
Trust
little
me,
bit.
I know of Godwary.
I should tell you a little of myself first. Who I was back then, and how I came to find God on the battlefield of Godwary. If you have half a mind to hear it, anyway.
What is a story without its context? Of course. Say what you feel needs to be said.
I was born in the town below this church, nearly 80 years ago. The youngest son of the local lord. My clan had come through the final years of Old Night with much of their wealth in.
So I just want to say too, like, just thinking about like what he said about the watch, not to before he gets into the story, you know. So that watch has been ticking down since he got it, and now it's about to hit midnight, right as the Emperor is eradicating all the churches on Earth, and he fears his time is coming. Like that's the beginning of the end. You know what I'm saying? And in a sense, once the Emperor takes power of Earth or of Terra, it's the beginning of a new age, but it's also the beginning of the end. Beginning of the end, in a sense, too. Depending on how you look at it, which is interesting.
The town below this church, nearly 80 years ago. The youngest son of the local lord. My clan had come through the final years of Old Night with much of their wealth intact. And they owned all the lands around these parts, from this very mountain all the way to the mainland bridge. I wish I could say I was treated badly as a child, to give reason for why I turned out the way I did. I cannot. I was indulged and became something of a spoiled brat, given to drinking, carousing, and bouts of petulance. Looking back, I realize what a little shit I was. But of course, it's a lot of old men to look at themselves in their youth and realize too late all the mistakes they made, and regrets they carry. Anyway, I decided in the adolescent fires of rebellion that I was going to travel the world and see whatever free corners of it remained in the wake of the Emperor's conquest. So much of the world had been brought under his sway that I was determined to find one last patch of land that wasn't yet under the heel of his thunderbolt and lightning armies.
You make it sound like the Emperor was a tyrant. He ended the wars that were destroying the planet and defeated dozens of tyrants and despots. Without his armies, mankind would have descended into anarchy and destroyed itself within generations.
He still is a tyrant. Perhaps humanity would have been better off that way, rather than under the shadow of this accursed eagle. Maybe the universe decided we'd had our chance, that our time was up.
Nonsense. The universe cares not a whit for our actions or us. Our fate is wrought by our hands, and no others.
A philosophical point we will no doubt return to, but I was telling you of my youth.
But of course, please, continue.
Thank you. Well, after I announced my intention to travel the world, my father was good enough to grant me a generous stipend and a retinue of soldiers to protect me on my journeys.
Damn.
I left that very day and crossed the Silver Bridge 4 days later, traveling across a land recovering from war, which was growing fat on the labors decreed by the Emperor. Hammers beat out plates of armor, blackened factories churned out weapons, and entire towns of seamstresses created new uniforms for his armies. I crossed to Europa and cruised my way across the continent, seeing the eagle-stamped banner everywhere I went. In every town and city, I saw people giving thanks to the Emperor and his mighty thunder giants.
Jeez.
But I'll be damned if any of it was genuine. It was like they were going through the motions because they knew it was dangerous not to. I'd seen the thunder giants as a child, but never in the wake of a conquest. Never quite seen the reality of them before that point. I was drunk and whoring my way down the Tully Peninsula when I came across the garrison of the Emperor's super soldiers at a ruined cliff-top fortress. My damned romantic rebellious soul couldn't help but try and bait the giants. I called them many names. Freak, slave, the minor demons of a greater devil.
Damn.
I even told them the Emperor's only goal was to enslave all of the human race to his own towering ego. After having seen them battle in the fields of Frank, I shuddered to think of the fear I was in then. I thought I was being clever. In my own stupor, I convinced myself I was a hero. Looking back, I would never even have passed as a martyr. Eventually, one of the giants broke rank and approached me. I was monumentally drunk. I felt invincible as only a drunk and a fool could. This warrior was huge, far larger than any human I'd ever seen. His entire body was encased in heavy, powered armor that enclosed his chest and arms. The sheer power.
It's also, sorry, not to pause again. It's interesting to see like the Emperor's original pre-Astartes unit. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously he kind of killed all these guys from what we know. You know, they were too rebellious, I guess, in a sense. Or like not rebellious, but they were too imperfect for the army, I guess, because they were really just recruited from, you know, human ranks in a sense. And a lot of them were, you know, just violent, you know, people. So it's interesting to see more of that, I guess, you know.
Human I'd ever seen. His entire body was encased in heavy, powered armor that enclosed his chest and arms. The sheer power of each soldier was never made clearer to me than when that giant came over to me and lifted me up, tearing my shirt and upsetting me greatly. I kicked at his armor and beat my fists into bloody pulps against his chest, but he just laughed at me. I screamed at him to let me go, and he did just that, telling me to shut my mouth before tossing me off the cliff and into the sea.
Damn.
By the time I'd climbed the great steps back up into the village, they were gone, and I was left with just myself and a hatred greater than I had ever known. Stupid, really. I was asking for it, and it was only a matter of time until someone put me in my place.
And after Tali?
Here and there. I've forgotten a lot of those years, truth be told. I was drunk most of my waking hours. I know I took a sand skimmer across the Mediterranean wastes and traversed the wastelands of the North African conclaves that shut
Mediterranean wastes.
All I found was settlements that were busy paying homage.
It's also cool to see like Earth in this like post-apocalyptic scenario, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously this church exists. The Emperor has kind of brought most things under control at this point, but you can kind of see like before it was all brought into the fold, like there's fucking anarchy everywhere, you know what I mean? Most of Terra is a fucking wasteland. It's like Mad Max out there, you know? It's cool to see.
All I found was settlements that were busy paying homage to the Emperor. So I carried onwards, far into the east, to see the ruins of Ursh and the fallen bastions of Nath and Doom. Even there, however, in places so far away as to be the most desolate and remote corners of the world, I still found those who gave thanks to the Emperor and his gene-engineered warriors. I couldn't understand it. Didn't these people know they just exchanged one tyrant for another? Then again, it wasn't their choice.
So he's literally just trying to like find somewhere where the Emperor is not worshipped, that's all, and he can't find one.
Change one tyrant for another? Then again, it wasn't their choice.
Humanity was on the brink of extinction. I cannot convey this point any more clearly. Without unity, and without the Emperor, there would be no human race. I cannot believe that you do not see that.
Oh, I see it all right. I see that very clearly. The devilish rogue did not, however. I was young and full of the fires of youth that see any form of control as oppression. Though they don't appreciate it, it is the function of the youth to push at the boundaries of the previous generation, to poke and prod and establish their own rules. I was no different from any other youth. Well, perhaps a little.
So you'd traveled the world, and hadn't found any corner of it that hadn't sworn allegiance to the Emperor. Where did you go next?
I returned home for a spell, bearing gifts I'd mostly stolen, and then set off again. But this time I went out as a soldier of fortune instead of a tourist. I'd heard rumors of unrest in the land of the Frank, and fancied myself a renowned war hero. The Frank were a fractious people, even before the days of...
Fancied himself a renowned war hero, but he hasn't really done any war.
A renowned war hero. The Frank were a fractious people, even before the days of unity, and were never ones to bow to invaders, even the ones who posed as benign. Once I reached the continent, I had heard of Havelek de Gros and the Battle of Avalroy, and rode straight for the town.
Avalroy. A town poisoned by the bitterness of a madman whose meager skill fell far short of his ambition.
Now that much is obvious. Back then, the story was that Havelek was found wrongly accused of the brutal murder of the woman the Emperor appointed as governor. He was set to be shot by a firing squad when his brothers and friends attacked the local army units running the execution. The soldiers were torn to shreds, and the death of a few locals in the fighting turned a small-scale riot into open rebellion. It got ugly faster than the town had time to think what they were doing. But by then, it was too late.
Yeah, so quickly it happens.
Fortunately for everyone, Havelek was a gifted orator and fanned the flames of the townfolk's ire at the Emperor's rule. Within the hour, a hastily formed militia had stormed the local army headquarters and seized the weapons within. None of the soldiers survived.
You are aware that Havelek did assault and murder the woman?
I learned that later, yes. By then it was far too late to do anything about it. By the time I reached Avaroy, full of piss and vinegar for the coming fight, Havelek had rallied a number of the local townships to his cause and amassed quite an army. It was magnificent, friend Apocalypsis, for it had been everything I had so desperately searched for. Icons of the Emperor being torn down, colorful buntings hanging from every window, bands playing in the streets constantly while Havelek and all of us, his soldiers, marched up and down the town. I swear it felt like we were an army of devilish, daring youths. We should have been training. We should have prepared. But our courage was buoyed up by the festivities, and more towns rose up against the Emperor's rule by the day. Within the week, we had amassed an army of nearly 40,000 strong. Truly, it seemed, I had found my glorious rebellion I had so desperately craved.
I'm sure
it was heroic, and
I'm sure back for the time, given like how devastated Earth was, 40,000 is probably pretty respectable. But given the fact that they're just like a couple rebel towns, and you know, obviously most or all of Terra by this point is under the Emperor's rule, this is such a meager force to me, you know.
Found my glorious rebellion I had so desperately
untrained as well, militia, literally, as it was put.
And courageous and dangerous, and it spoke to my romanticism for the heroic freedom fighters of old. We were absolutely sure that we would be the spark that would light the fires of rebellion all across the world and see the autocrat tumbled from his self-imposed rule. Then we heard that the Thunderbolt and Lightning armies were marching from the east, and then we set off in grand procession, making all due haste. Havelek leading us from Avaroy was a joyous day. I'll never forget it. The laughter, the kisses from the girls, and the spirit of our shared brotherhood carried us off as we marched to battle.
It's very reminiscent of like World War I, like veteran accounts from World War I. It's exactly how it was, right? Like you're just a young boy, basically. You're drafted, you know, or you volunteer because you want to be there, right? You don't know any better. You're told it's a great, glorious adventure. It's going to be, you know, everything you thought it'd be. You know, you're going to get to stick the enemy. You know, you're going to win, you know, home for glory, home before Christmas. You know, you'll be a hero. But you know, in war, there's rarely heroes. And it all depends on who a hero is to you, right? Like it all depends on perspective of which side you fight for, you know what I'm saying? So it's arguable that in war there are absolutely no heroes. Obviously there's heroic things, and obviously some wars are fought for better reasons than others, but you know, in general, you know, war is such just a fucking pointless thing. Yeah.
In but a week of marching, we reached Gadwere and set up our defenses atop a line of hills directly in the path of our enemies. We had all thought ourselves.
This is crazy. They're gonna get stomped, dude.
Holding this
we already know they do.
Advantageous position. Had we any training and discipline, it might have made a difference. We held the high ground, and both of our flanks were anchored on strong positions. On the left were the ruins of the Gadwere bastion. On the right, the desolate marshes through which nothing could pass.
You must have known it was madness to engage the Emperor's armies. I mean, you had no hope of defeating them. His warriors were bred for battle and spent every waking moment in combat training.
Perhaps we knew. Maybe we didn't want to think about it. We were so full of hope, of optimism, we wouldn't allow ourselves to even consider defeat. When the Emperor's armies came into sight, we were nearly 50,000 strong, and we faced an army estimated at a mere 5,000. It was hard not to feel that we could win the day, especially with Havelek riding up and down and firing our blood. His brother tried to calm him, but it was far too late. Eventually, maybe a kilometer from our position, the giants halted their advance.
You guys got to get in a trench or behind a sandbag or something.
Too.
There's no way you charge them. What? Oh, that's madness. That's madness. That's actually madness. You have a defensive position and you're charging the enemy. Like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you even take the hill? Like, you know, I get it. Youth vigor and an unorganized militia. They don't have any fucking training at all. But it doesn't really take training to know that you don't just give up a defensive position in favor of charging an enemy that is much better armed than you.
Gods.
Like, look at these guys. That guy's got a prosthetic arm, for Christ's sake. What's he gonna do, respectfully?
We should have waited too. Instead of letting the spirit of the moment die, we charged down the hillside like mad, glorious fools, screaming war cries and waving swords, pistols, and rifles over our heads. It was maybe 6 or 7 ranks deep, and we only covered half the distance before the giants shouldered their weapons.
Like, what is this? Yeah, like, no shit.
By God, the noise. I'll never forget it. The first volley
It's a
was
fucking
thunder
turkey shoot.
ripped down the line, and our first 5 ranks were cut down to a man before we could even scream. Each of their bullets was a small bomb that ripped limbs from bodies and burst men open from the inside like wet sacks. I turned to shout, I was struck in the back of the head and fell forward into the ruptured body of another man. Rolling over, I felt the back of my head and realized I had been hit. Shrapnel or some fragment, I figured. I could feel myself losing blood, weakening by the moment. Now the initial shock of the first few seconds had passed. The screaming began. The charge had ground to a halt, and now the men and women were milling around in confusion and fear. Reality finally dawned on them, and they understood the magnitude of what Havelek had done. Now, the Thunder Warriors took their turn to charge. They broke into a run, and terror trembled beneath their feet. Most of those who had fallen but survived the volley were crushed beneath a giant meat. They all were unsheathing their swords with serrated edges and motorized blades. I'll never forget the sound of it all. The roar out of a nightmare it was. We had been defeated in the opening volley, but these warriors were without mercy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Had somehow survived.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, like, these guys are violent, like, even though they're in mass retreat at this point, instantly in mass retreat. They had no will to fight after the first couple seconds, but way too much before the fight. Yeah, these guys are not gonna let you just return to your fucking homes. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, you're an open rebellion. Like, you're still an organized... No, they're not. They're not organized. That's the whole point. They're not organized at all. But you're still a fighting force that took up arms, and a lot of these fuckers probably did not throw down their arms even. They're probably running away with them still, so let's be honest here. Like, yeah, you're gonna get ran down. Like, I don't understand that.
The opening volley, but these warriors were without mercy.
No.
Havelek had somehow survived the initial barrage with only superficial wounds. And as I lay on my back, dying, I watched him stare, dumbfounded, as the leading thunder cleaved him in two with a single swing with his chain blade.
Fucking
Looking
hell.
back at Havelek's army, I saw my terror mirrored on the face of every man and woman left, who were all begging for mercy, throwing down their weapons,
Okay,
trying
there
to
we go.
surrender, but
Now,
the slaughter continued, heedless
okay.
of their powers.
Yeah. There it is. Okay, so a lot of them were throwing down their weapons, begging for mercy, and no, there's none to be had from these ones, unfortunately. The Thunder Warriors are fucking insane from the way I understand it, and yeah, they're just like they're the worst that humanity had to offer, and they were trained for war, and they're just such an effective fighting force. But God, if they're not just brutal, And I can see now how they arguably were better. They arguably were better than the Astartes, right? Because they seem devoid of that empathy, or of that ability to be like, yeah, like, there's no sense killing them, right? Like, a lot of Astartes, even Horus, they communicated. They went to worlds and they communicated. Like, diplomacy was their first option in pretty much every case, and only when they had to fight to bring a planet under unification did they. But they didn't take like pleasure in it, especially like, I forget what that one planet was called that Horus tried to take over, but basically that blade, their holy relic, was taken, and they had to fight for it, and it was just like he thought that was utterly pointless and there was no need for it. These guys don't give a fuck,
Marched right up to them and hacked into them without mercy. All those people were cut apart so quickly and brutalized with such economy of force, I couldn't believe so many people could die in so short a time. It was not the glorious battle I had dreamed of. It was mechanized butchery. If I could have ran, I would have. And I'm not ashamed to say I laid there weeping, listening to the awful sound of people dying, and the wet sound of flesh being shorn from bodies, and the stench of voided bowels and open bellies, until the mercy of darkness overcame me. When I woke, surprised I'd still lived, it was dark. In the distance, I heard the victory chants of the Thunder Warriors drifting across the fields, along with the smoke of victory pyres. Havelek's army had been destroyed. Not routed, not put to flight, destroyed. In less than an hour, 50,000 men and women had been killed. I never learned of any other survivors.
Jesus.
Weak, and laying in a field of human parts, I began to weep once more. I was in agony, bleeding to death and thinking how absolutely pointless my life had been. The heartache and ruin I'd visited upon others in my reckless pursuit of hedonism and self-interest. I wept for my family and myself. And that was when I realized I wasn't alone.
Who was with you?
The power of the divine. I opened my eyes and saw a golden face above me. A face of such radiance and perfection that my tears were no longer shed for my self-pity, but for his beauty. The light radiated from the figure, and I averted my eyes for fear I'd be blinded. I had been in pain, yes, but now that pain was gone.
Is this the Emperor?
I knew I was seeing the face.
Oh my
I could
God.
not describe that face to you.
Oh my God, what? Bro, so if he's the Emperor, so he literally saved them, and now he's coming back and he's saying, why are you still believing this? And it's going to be like, bro, I saved you. It was me. Fuck, that's so fucked. Okay. I think that's how it's going to go. That's obviously not his God. Depending on what you prescribe to, I guess,
Not with all the poetic imagery in the world at my disposal, but it was the most exquisite thing I had ever seen. I felt myself lifted up and thought this was the end. And then the face spoke, and I knew I was destined to live.
What did this face say to you?
Why do you deny me? Accept me, and you will know that I am the only truth and the only way.
Did you reply?
I couldn't. To utter any words would have been base. In any case, my tongue was quite stilled by the awesome vision of God.
What made you think it was God?
Yeah.
You were a dying man on a battlefield, surrounded by your dead comrades, and you were having an epiphany about the futility of the life you had led. Think back, priest. Surely there is another explanation?
I need no other explanation. You may be wise in many things, Apocalypsis, but you cannot know what goes on in my own mind. I heard the voice of God and saw his face. Does the perception of events truly matter if the results are singular? I was borne up and set into a deep slumber, and when I awoke, my wounds were healed. A piece of bone had been embedded in my skull, nearly a centimeter away from severing my spinal cord. When I rose, I searched for fellow survivors. I was alone. I decided to return to the land of my birth, but when I returned, I found my family home in ruins. The townsfolk told me Scandian raiders from the north had come to plunder my family's wealth. So they killed my brother and tortured my parents and sisters in an attempt to make my father give up the family treasures. My father had a weak heart and died before they could learn his secrets. I found my home in ruins and my family as bleached cadavers. There were no amends to be made at home. All I had to remember them by was their wealth, good wine, and this damned watch.
I am sorrowed by your loss, Uriah. If it is any consolation, the Scandians would not accept unity and were wiped out near 3 decades ago.
I know, but I do not revel in death anymore. The men who killed my family
Of course you would know that.
judged by God, and that is justice enough for me.
That is noble of you.
I took those few keepsakes from the ruins and made my way to the nearest settlement, thinking I'd get blind drunk and try to figure out what to do with my life. Halfway there, I met an old priest in need of help, in desperate search of the next caretaker of the Folga Lapis. I knew I had found my purpose. I had spent my entire life until then living for myself, but when I saw the spire of that church, I knew that God had a purpose for me. I should have died at Gaduere, but I was saved for a reason.
And what was the reason?
To serve God, to bring his words to the people, to do good where others would not, to be a beacon in the coming dark.
And that's what you've been doing here?
So this was like the first guy to ever worship like the Emperor, in a sense. Not like worship him because he didn't think it was him, but he had such a perfect image and looked like it. Like, you know, oh damn, you know, that's so interesting. You know, and he's probably questioning. He's like, why did you think I was a fucking god? I'm no god. You know what I mean? Because he's so, you know, he doesn't believe in religion at all. So he's just like, how the fuck could he see me as a god? You know, he's probably confusing them so much. And then eventually what happens? It's like, fuck.
That is what I've been trying to do, but the Emperor's promulgators traverse the globe with his message of denouncing the supernatural and criminalizing the devout. I assume that is why you are here, and why none of my congregation have come here tonight.
You would be correct. In a manner of speaking, I have come to try and convince you of the error of your ways. To learn of you and to show you that there is no need for any divine powers to guide humanity. This is the last church on Terra, and it falls to me to offer you this chance to embrace the new way willingly.
Or?
There is no or, my dear priest. Come. Let us go back out into the church as we talk. I want to teach you of all that belief in gods has done for humanity down the ages. The bloodshed, the horror, and the persecution. I will tell you of this, and you will see how damaging such belief is.
And then, you will go on your way, friend Apocalypsis?
It is my sincerest hope that we will go together. You know of gene breeding?
Let's see.
Aye. Very little is not gene-bred these days.
And you have heard of the once great city of Zoser in the Nord-Afric conclaves?
Yes, I have been to Zoser. At least I saw what my guide told me were its ruins.
True. Not much is left. Anyway, the scientists of Zoser sought to end a great famine that was sweeping the Nord-Afric conclaves through gene-breeding animals that would grow more quickly and more easily in their harsh climate. When one of the local cults caught wind of the gene breeding, they saw it as an affront to their god. They were very much against the modification of genetics because they thought that their god had designed them as they were.
I wonder who these are supposed to be.
In such things. This cult, the Zozerites, saw the lead scientist, an Apashtar, as the next embodiment of evil, seeking to defile all the people by feeding them the embodiment of sin. They went on a rampage, stabbing and clubbing any Apashtar they could find.
See, that's
Of course,
crazy.
The Apashtar retaliated, and rioting spread throughout the city and left close to 1,000 people dead. They did not again try to gene breed new farm stock, and untold thousands more died to the famine.
Is there a point to that story?
Absolutely. It typifies religion and tells a universal tale of religious behavior that has been reoccurring since the beginning of human history. Religion actively impedes forward progress by producing stubborn people who fear advancement.
A far-fetched example, friend Apocalypsis.
Well,
One freakish story cannot serve as
terribly
proof
wrong.
of theory that
that's not a freakish theory, especially in the modern day. Unfortunately, so many great works have been absolutely just torched because it didn't align with religion, or because it didn't align with somebody's beliefs. The Library of Alexandria, one of the most prominent examples of that, I think. In just comes to mind. We never know. We never will know what was lost in the burning of the Library of Alexandria, and it was done for the most pointless of reasons, right? How many times has the Vatican been burned, and how many great works have been stolen? What about South Africa? Not South Africa, South America. There's an entire culture, a history there, and now it's fucking forgotten, entirely, basically. And it's only what we can piece together now is why we have any understanding of it at all. And that was done largely in the name of religion, right? Spanish got there, and it's like, you're not Catholic, essentially, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's not entirely wrong.
example, friend Apocalypsis. One freakish story cannot serve as proof of theory that all belief in the divine is a bad thing. Why don't you tell the story of the time a church organized a program to help the poor and the sick and the dying? Why do you not tell a story of when faith and religion gave a community the strength to stick together and help each other through old night? Through faith comes character, and through our character there is moral strength. Without such guidance, the world would descend into anarchy.
A secular government with strict laws and programs could accomplish all that you have listed without creating stubbornness or creating a dependability on a church that would impose further taxes upon the poor and make waste of otherwise productive time. The idea that the church is a moral compass just isn't true. Where the church is strong, it causes cruelty. Intense belief produces intense hostility. Only when faith loses its force can a society hope to become humane and progress.
Odd.
I don't believe that. My holy book gives instructions on how to live a good life. It has lessons humanity needs. I have benefited greatly, as have the people in the town below.
Are you sure? I have read
Town's
your
gonna be
holy
on
book,
fire.
and much of it is bloody and vengeful. I suspect an outside spectator would view the people on those pages not as exemplars of proper behavior, but terrifying examples of corrupt morals.
You are missing the point, Apocalypsis. Much of the text is not meant to be taken literally. It is symbolic or allegorical.
That is exactly my point. You priests pick and choose which bits of your book to take literally and which to read as symbolic. And that is a personal matter, not a divine one. You may be pure and noble, Uriah, but all too often a priest is a man who is cruel and purely seeking personal gain. Religion has no place in a fair and just society. In ages past, a frightening number of people took these holy books absolutely literally, sowing untold misery and death because they truly believed the words they read. The history of religion is a horror story, Uriah, and if you doubt it, look to the past and see what humanity has done in the name of their gods over the millennia. In ancient times, ritual sacrifices were commonplace. To appease their vile gods, priests drowned women and children in sacred wells and cut the heart out of their slaves and prisoners. They would drive a pile through a maiden's body to pacify a non-existent creature.
You cannot seriously compare my religion to such barbarism. You describe ignorant savagery, not religion as I would name it.
Can't I? It was never uncommon for religions founded in this region of the world to use their faith to justify conquest without mercy. The rich desired more power, but the peasantry would not fight for their kings and their lords just to further the interest of those who ruled them so cruelly. The lords knew this. They guised their political objectives with religious significance by the just and marvelous judgment of God, and the people fought fervently for a cause with no merit.
Yeah.
Extremism bred extremism, and the retaliation...
And he's obviously talking about Christian crusades or Muslim jihad. They're both very pointless. The problem is just one still happens nowadays and the other does not, and that's a massive issue. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like that's entirely true. Like, you know, the crusades themselves were born out of a fact that who the fuck wants to go over to, you know, Jerusalem, the Middle East, and fight? Who wants to leave their homes and go do that? Well, if it's for God, then it's a good reason, right? That's all it is.
No merit. Extremism bred extremism, and the retaliation was swift. Now that war had been initiated on religious pretexts, the conflicts escalated.
Exactly.
And battling continued.
And yeah, exactly. And the problem, and that's obviously supposed to be like King Baldwin, I can tell that already. But you know, yeah, like the second you justify a war under religious pretext, you're opening the door for anybody to do it. Well, they did it because they said our God is bad and our God is the true one, so they're obviously morally wrong and they need to be killed. You open the door for it instantly, and nobody wins. Literally nobody wins from doing that.
On religious pretexts, the conflicts escalated and the battling continued until little was left but fields littered with the bones of the foolish and the deceived.
Yeah.
But sorrow or remorse was never tolerated for such a thing, as the crusade was God's will, after all.
Yeah.
This is ancient history. As you say, the nobles were bent on furthering their own interests. They used religion as an excuse, but in their greed they would have committed these atrocities one way or another. You cannot vouchsafe the truth of events so lost in the mists of time.
I would agree with you, had they not repeated the act nearly a century later. Warriors laid siege to the sect stronghold in ancient Frank. And when the city fell, the generals asked their leader how they might tell the faithful from the traitors among the captives. The leader, who followed his God, ordered the warriors to kill them all. God will know his own. 20,000 men, women, and children were lost to faith that day. Of course, for fear that any may escape, an organization was given absolute power over the people, with its sole purpose to hunt down those who ran. They brought about hysteria and tortured any they so pleased.
And that happened. Realistically, that happened. That was, yeah, if he's talking about the Spanish Inquisition, and that's what it looked like, you know. Obviously, like, they don't look the same. He's talking about, you know, in 40K history, but it's obviously the comparisons right there and for anybody to see. Yeah, the Spanish Inquisition there's organizations made straight up to hunt people down, hunt down apostates. Anybody that was, even on a whim, even if you practiced, you were a good Catholic your entire life, even on a whim that you didn't believe, you were killed. You were killed. Or like on the whim of witchcraft, you were killed. No proof needed. Absolutely no proof needed. Just somebody said it, somebody saw. That's all they needed. You know, and the same thing when they went to South America, when they went to Mexico, the Caribbean, same thing happened. Same thing happened. If you didn't believe, and even if you claimed to believe, you were, you know, your tribe, let's say, succumbed to the Catholic Church, and you claimed to believe, you were still under the guise of the Inquisition. You could still be, any day somebody could show up, and if they found any of your old religious symbols, guess what? You were burned at the stake instantly. You know, there's no debate about that. So, yeah, it's crazy shit, man, you know.
They brought about hysteria and tortured any they so pleased. They did not stop once all their enemies were hunted down and killed.
Obviously, the Inquisition, yeah.
They, too, had convinced themselves of their holiness. They exterminated whole towns on the merest suspicion of witchcraft or treachery. When it was all said and done, near 100,000 were dead. Most of them were innocent.
Yeah.
If you'll allow me, I shall turn your logic back upon you, Apocalypsis. Had it been a secular government that decided they required more land and riches, Do you truly believe they would have decided against it for no reason other than that there was no divine justification? Look back upon your great knowledge of history. Do you truly not recall any secular government that drove itself mad with suspicion of treachery and created a state ruled by surveillance and torture? You chop apart history, take what you so desire, and insist I behold the bloody remains. Humans are flawed, and religion is more often a convenient scapegoat than a corrupting force.
If you believe that, then you have been shut away in this church for far too long, priest. All the dictators deposed through unification were mass-murdering ethnarchs who killed millions in their constant warring, burning away all hope of progress. Cardinal Tang's pogroms and death camps saw millions dead in the Indonesia bloc. He died but 30 years ago and claimed his entire life had been served in the name of a greater power.
Wow.
You fixate on the blood and death and forget all the good that can be achieved through faith.
Uriah, you only see religion for what it can be. I am seeing it for what it most always is. Savagery pervades our world, and it is sustained by ignorance and crude belief. It is true that before the descent of Old Night, religion had lost its power over the people. But like the worst kind of poison, it lingered and fostered division amongst those who endured. Without belief, divisions blur over generations. New generations mingle, intermarry, and forget ancient wounds. It is only belief in gods and divine entities that keep them alien to one another. And anything that divides people breeds inhumanity and cruelty. Religion is the canker in mankind's heart that serves such an ugly purpose.
I have heard all that you have had to say, friend Apocalypsis, and I have finally heard enough. Yes, people have done terrible things to one another in the name of their gods, but they have done terrible things regardless of the course of their beliefs. An acceptance of gods and an afterlife is a vital part of what makes us who we are. If you take that away from humanity, what do you suggest takes its place? In my many years as a priest, I have ministered to many dying people, and the emotional benefit of religion's power to console the wounded and the dying, as well as those left behind, cannot be underestimated.
There is a flaw in your logic, priest. Religion's power to console gives it no credence.
What do you guys think about all that? Like, that's, they're throwing a lot of deep concepts here. And again, I don't know what I believe personally, but like, yeah, man, like, I think it definitely has its place with people because people need something to believe in. Having hope as a human being, it does a lot for somebody. Having hope of an afterlife, of something more, it does a lot for people. That's not to say that I don't believe you should let your life be ruled entirely by an outside force. I think you're your own person. I think you should live your own life experiences, and you shouldn't let anybody take away from your life experience or anything take away from your life experience. So there's arguments for both. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. I don't think going completely one way or the other is the right course. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, the Emperor wants to go all one way to the right, and the pendulum always swings. He's going to go all the way back to the left, and that's how, obviously, in 40K, they're ultra religious, even though his ultimate goal was to be, there'd be no religion there, to be only science, materialistic based kind of doctrine. And obviously that gave way to him just being viewed as a god with his abilities that he has, right? So I don't know, it's just really interesting.
So of validity. It might be a comfort to a dying man to believe that he will go to some bountiful paradise of endless joy. But even if he dies with a wonderful smile on his face, it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Better that less would die due to the removal of religion than each zealot die with a smile on their face.
Maybe, but when my time comes, I will die with God's name on my lips.
Are you afraid to die, Uriah?
No,
Truly?
truly. I have my share of sins, but I have spent the greater part of my life in the service of my God, and I believe I have served him faithfully.
So why is it that when you go to these people who are dying and clinging to their beliefs that they don't welcome the end of their life? Surely, the gathered family and friends should be of good cheer and celebrate their relatives' passing.
Damn.
After all, if eternal paradise
My
awaits
watch
us,
is moving, isn't it?
why are they not filled with gleeful anticipation? Could it be that in their heart of hearts, they don't really believe it?
Are you ever excited to have a loved one move on or leave in search of something greater? Are you ever excited to leave your family and friends in search of a better life? Even if it is for the best, are you delighted to leave all that you know to be thrust into the unknown? No one is. Life is a gift, and our chance to make ourselves into someone before our time in the afterlife. Who would give that up willingly? If you cannot see that plainly, then you are a fool. The Lord of mankind is the light in the way, and all his actions are for the benefit of mankind, which is his people. So it is taught in the holy words of our order, and above all
There
things
is
that God
no
will
one
protect-
to hear you.
I don't care what you say anymore. You have come here to do what you feel you need to do, and I'll not buttress your ego and self-righteousness by playing along any longer. You listen to my words, but hear nothing. End the charade.
As you wish. No more games.
Yeah. I knew it. Yeah. Holy shit, dude.
You...
And it's so interesting how he he appeared as like some wandering like he appeared humble, you know what I mean? Even though he's a fucking huge jack dude, he appeared as like somebody the priest could like appreciate, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody he could understand. And he tried to come off in that sense. Obviously, I kind of assumed this was the case. Just the way he was speaking, the way he knows everything, you know. Yeah, let's see what happens here.
You...
Now do you understand the futility of what you do here?
You are the Emperor.
I am. It is time to go, Uriah.
Go? Go where? There is nowhere else for me in this godless world of yours.
Of course there is. Embrace the new way and be part of something incredible. A world and a time where we stand on the brink of achieving everything we ever dreamed. Verona's work was never meant for darkness. Only in the light can it achieve its full potential. Humanity is the same. And only when the suffocating shadows of a religion that teaches us not to question is gone from this world will we see its true, radiating brilliance.
I will miss this place.
In time, I will build an imperium of such grandeur and magnificence that this will seem like a pauper's hovel. Now, let us be on our way.
Wow. They're there to burn it down. Wow.
How can you do this? You say you stand for reason and the advancement of understanding, but here you are destroying a repository of knowledge.
Some things are best forgotten.
I hope you have foreseen the consequences of a world bereft of religion.
I have. It is my dream, An imperium of man that exists without recourse to gods and the supernatural. A united galaxy with terror at its heart.
A united galaxy?
Indeed. Soon enough, unity will be achieved on Terra. It is time to reclaim humanity's lost empire among the stars.
With you at its head, I presume.
Of course. Nothing of such grand scale can be achieved without a singular vision at its heart. Least of all, the reconquest of the galaxy. There is a place for you at my side, Uriah. You are noble and your heart is true. We have need of iterators who would spread my imperial truth across the stars to all those planets without guidance.
I can submit to no imperial truth. My entire life has been altered by, at best, a misunderstanding. At worst, my life has been spent following a lie.
Wow.
But you know what? It doesn't matter that my life has been one massive falsehood. I came here with my heart open and emptied by grief. The spirit of my God had entered my soul and filled me with love. My devotion was my salvation, and I have spread a doctrine of love and forgiveness. No amount of words and tricks may change that. Even now, despite this revelation, my heart is filled with love. There is no resentment in my heart. What makes faith so powerful, Emperor, is that it requires no proof. Belief is enough.
I feared such a thing. I wish you would join my great crusade, Uriah. Soon I shall expand my imperium to the furthest corners of the galaxy, with all my sons beside me. I need men like you. You make a virtue of commitment and purity.
Did you not just speak to me of the horror of the Crusades? And what evil men do in the name of purity? You are no better than the holy men you were telling me about.
The difference is that I know I am right, Uriah.
Spoken like a true autocrat.
You misunderstand, Uriah. I have seen the narrow path that humanity must walk to survive. This is how...
Sorry I'm not talking much, guys. I'm just taking
It
this
is a
all in.
dangerous road to travel. To deny humanity a thing will only make them crave it more. I see no reality in which your goals do not lead us to disaster and ruin. Beware your subjects do not begin to see you as a god. I truly hope, in the name of all that is divine, you are right. But I dread the future you forge.
I wish only the best for my people.
I believe you, Apocalypsis. But I cannot be a part of it.
Oh, wow. I just want to say, holy shit, guys! Like, this is fucking crazy. Like, I'm kind of speechless here. This has been like fucking blowing my mind a little bit. You know, like I'm not even trying to be no type of way. I really am enjoying this. There's not much there's not much left, so I don't want to speak too much. I just want to see what else is here. Finish it off, I guess, and then I'll have some words. Wow. Audio cut out there. I'm guessing that was a copyrighted song. Wow. Wow. Based on a novel by Graham McNeill. that said. Let's just see. Wow. That's got me fucking speechless, guys. I'm not gonna lie. That was something else, honestly. Like that was really, really good. The whole idea of like the philosophy debate between you know, like obviously religion and science, right? The emperor trying to convince this priest that what he's believing isn't correct. And the fact that he only had faith because of the emperor to begin with is like, you know, kind of nuts. And it goes to show like it's just foreshadowing for what eventually does happen in 30K and then 40K, right? So I think that's extremely interesting. And it just goes to show too, like how easily people could misinterpret him as a god. You know what I'm saying? Because he showed up. He probably was just like he wanted to see like what happened there. You know, like how bad it really was, how many people died, and what the effects of his warriors were. And it was a mess, right? And he probably just saw this young guy at the time and took pity on him, right? Because you know he's the emperor is not incapable of compassion. Very clearly. He's just realistic in a sense, I guess, but he might be too realistic, and I think that's ultimately where his downfall lies. Fuck, guys, wow, that kind of blew my mind a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. That entire thing, sorry I wasn't talking too much during that. It's just like I didn't want to pause constantly because I was just taking in the dialogue. The dialogue in that was insane. Like it was great. I was never bored watching that entire thing. That entire thing kept me engaged. Such a great piece, honestly. The book, I'm sure, is fantastic, but that animation is amazing. And not even, again, I don't know what it's called. Is it animation, or what would that be described as? I guess animated, right? Still in a sense. But the illustrations were fantastic. I love the illustrations. And it just gave a lot of context into like the events leading up to 30 and 40K, right? And like obviously in you know, we learned about the age that this is in that Emperor of Mankind video by Luton. So that was cool. It was cool. It was cool watching that and then having some context, some knowledge, and then watching this and being like, okay, like this is during that time period and this is what happened. This is kind of like why people are the way that they are, why the Emperor is the way that he is. Because you know, I've never seen like anything of the Emperor personally. That's like my first time ever seeing, you know, the Emperor speak, I guess, or like, you know, act in any sort of way. And, you know, that was really, really interesting. I fucking love that a lot. So thank you guys so much for recommending that to me. I can see why you guys wanted me to watch that now. That was fantastic. And I fucking loved every minute of it because, wow, guys, like that was crazy. You know, that was a ride. I really loved that. And it's a shame we can only get archived videos of it now because obviously the original video is taken down. So I'll link the original creator's channel. I'm not going to link this video though, just due to the fact that I, again, don't want to get copyrighted. I don't want to get my channel exploded. But you know, I'm going to still try to give him his just due. If you want to watch this video, just simply YouTube search it and you'll get it that way. It's not here purely because of that reason. I know Game Workshop, from what I've seen, they don't like their shit on YouTube anymore. So that's just, you know, which is a shame because, like, again, they're missing out a lot. Like the fan base is 90% of a hobby, I guess, or even a book, you know, a world, a lore, a history, anything like that. It's your fan base, a game, anything like that. Your fan base carries it all. So the fact that they don't allow that shit anymore is crazy to me, frankly, but that's their decision. So hopefully nothing happens off that. Hopefully I don't get copyright striked into the dirt. We'll see. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment your recommendations down below, and yeah, subscribe for more content from me. Let me know what you want me to see next. This was, again, fantastic. I fucking loved this video, and man, let me know if you got any more like this, because this was insane. I fucking really enjoyed this. So yeah, guys, without any further delay, this has been Centurion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.